Stories of the day in the company of the Sun's Will Pugh. Hi, Will.
Hello, Will.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Very well.
I can see this one. I just read about this one today. I can understand why they'd be interested. Arsenal have held initial talks, they say, to understand the situation of Wolves' Brazil forward, Matheus Cunha. I suppose his situation is he's a Wolves player. Doesn't say, I could have looked at me Panini sticker book and seen that. Got on the Wolves website.
Yeah. I was just checking. That's all we wanted. And my first note actually for this one was wording and source doesn't fill me with confidence.
No,
and you've sort of done half of my job for me there. 7 goals and 3 assists this season in 14 for Cunha. He's been an absolute standout for what's been a bit of a struggle of a campaign for Wolves. Yeah, and as you said there, this feels like one of those to me, which is, you can tell sometimes with transfer stories, that is what we call an agent side story.
Right, okay.
Because
you think someone
mentioned within there as well, he's also on the radar of Manchester United, Tottenham, Newcastle and Aston Villa, and that Wolves are set to offer him a new 4-year deal in order to fend off all of these clubs. So either way, Matheus Cunha gets some more money. But he's got 2.5 years left on his deal at the moment, so if anyone did want to wrestle him away, which understandably he's been brilliant this season. He's gone up a level. He's doing well under Gary O'Neill. It will still cost him a few quid to do that now with 2.5 years left on his deal. But do you think he'd fit at Arsenal?
I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it? Yeah. That's the same question you might ask of this next story. Nico Williams. It seems Rodri has been saying to Pep Guardiola, like he doesn't know who he is, "Oi, gaffer, you should have a look at that Nico Williams. What a player he is on Nico Williams. Yeah, what a player he is. And we should bring him into our club." But that's another one. They've got a lot of people that play out on the left and look to score goals and set goals up, haven't they? Yeah,
that doesn't always stop the bigger sides, I suppose, stockpiling these good players. But I think that's going to be a bit of an issue getting him out of Bilbao at the moment. Bilbao are looking to extend his deal and that again has 3 years left on it already, but that will cement any value. He would be a huge transfer fee, sort of well in excess of 100 million, particularly if they tie him down to a new deal. I think Barcelona are the only ones really who that would rule out. PSG and then all of the big 5.5 teams in the Premier League. I never call it the big 6, Charlie.
Never.
Yeah, and they're all credited with an interest as well at the moment. But
unless City are trying to get Grealish out the door, you never know. He doesn't seem not playing a lot. Has he not scored for a while?
I think it is one of those things though. When you've paid that much money, you're paying these players the wages. The clubs will go as far as they can on getting a tune out of them, and he still provides value, doesn't he? But if Williams goes anywhere, that will be one of those sort of marquee signings of a summer, I think, rather than a January.
In Dean Saunders' breakdown of how to stop Arsenal from set pieces earlier on, he did mention Harry Maguire getting under the ball, didn't he, and getting slightly caught out. He's a bit cold at the moment. He's not played a lot of games. It was a bit of a baptism of fire last night. But if he is going to leave Manchester United and Amorim doesn't fancy him, there are a number of Premier League clubs that might be prepared to sign him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was former United chief scout Mick Brown has been speaking over the last day or so, saying he sort of knows for a fact that there are Premier League clubs queuing up to sign Maguire. 31 years of age. The closest he's come to leaving was going to West Ham, actually, when David Moyes was still there. And the thing that derailed that one in the end, West Ham put some money on the table, around 20 million quid. But the problem was that we weren't offered they weren't offering to pay his wages anywhere near what he was getting at United. So therefore, Maguire wanted a payout basically to make up the difference in order to go. United didn't want to do that, so he was like, "Well, I'll sit here and keep getting the money I'm getting at the moment." Didn't want to be out of pocket, which you can't really blame him for, I suppose. But it feels like one of those. If you get the wages right with Maguire, he would improve most teams, I would say, anywhere from sort of 5th downwards.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do. Antoine Semenyo going to be playing against Spurs this evening for Bournemouth. Apparently Newcastle interested. Again, not a massive surprise. It probably would be the summer though, wouldn't it, you would think? Absolutely,
yeah. And I know I sort of come in and speak often about how I always struggle to see how many big, massive deals are done in January because they happen less and less these days. But yeah, Newcastle like the look of Semenyo. He's playing absolutely brilliantly for Bournemouth this season. Real standout star down there on the south coast. The only slight issue with, as we've seen with Newcastle for a while, these PSR issues, as all clubs are facing, but Newcastle in particular. So it would be very much an offloading players before they were able.
Must get sick if you're Bournemouth developing these players, finding these players, developing them. Maybe that's the business model, is it? Develop them, move them on.
Well, it's
take the money, find another one.
It's just sort of the nature of football these days, isn't it? As soon as anyone's even a little bit good for a few weeks for a so-called smaller team, the stories start about how long is it going to be until they inevitably get hoovered up by one of the big teams.
Yeah.
You are a West Ham fan. We saw you on Sky Sports News chatting about Julian Lopetegui.
Well, he won't be here next week, Paul. That'll be it.
Yeah, that'll be it. But at tell, he's gone. Got the odds. Graham Potter is 5-4 on. Kasper Hjulman is also quite high up the list. Edin Terzic did very well at Dortmund.
Michael Carrick, Paul, is he in there?
Michael
Carrick, I thought that would be a really good fit.
16s. How is Michael Carrick viewed? Because he did clear off to Spurs. Is he still much loved at West Ham?
No, fairly well. Just worth noting, I think the news just coming out at the moment, actually, that Lopetegui is definitely going to be in charge for the Wolves game. I know the West Ham board.
That's next Monday, isn't it?
It is Monday night at home, yeah. And they're all must win, really. But after that defeat at Leicester on Tuesday night, that one was. You know what I mean? The pressure's been on for weeks now, to be honest. But it really needs 3 points and nothing less. But he will be in charge for the Wolves game. I think the problem is at the moment, no one knows where to go, really. I like Michael Carrick. I think West Ham fans are quite sort of neutral about him, really. I think they respect what he did for the club. He didn't leave in too much of a bitter manner or anything like that. It's not like the Jermaine Defoes and the Rio Ferdinands and the Frank Lampards of that era.
No.
He's thought of quite well. I think the problem is, and what I find, no one... Say if Brighton lose their manager, everyone knows what sort of manager they should be replacing him with. There isn't that at West Ham.
They're a succession.
It's a bit
plan,
of a the identity is basically lurching between identities, and I think therefore when it comes to situations like this, not working for Lopetegui, no one really knows what sort of manager.
The thing is, you have to look at the player, the kind of squad he's got at the moment, and maybe you can do. They've spent a lot of money in the summer, so you can do a bit of surgery, but you can't do major surgery. So you choose a manager that really can be tailored to the kind of players you've got. Don't you would think? I mean, have you got a favourite? Oh, well, is there someone you'd like to see get the job?
I personally think it would be nice to see West Ham, if you're going to lurch away from someone like Moyes, which is what's happened, who was a staid head, I would like to see someone young with a project take the club on. But I think the problem is the way West Ham is set up as a club, it's quite, say, chaotic. There's been some success in recent years, but it is fairly chaotic. And I think it needs one of those sort of statesman, older school style managers who's able to do a bit more than just rock up at the training ground and do the coaching. There's lots of elements you have to manage. It's a fickle and ferocious fan base at times as well, and I often think the young manager project style thing, well, they don't get as much time or forgiveness as they would at Brighton, and I think there's a bit more to managing upwards and sideways at West Ham as well.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what they do, and as Fletcher was saying, El Sakiko they're calling it, which is a bit tight on both managers, but you do feel if
is De Zerbi on there, Paul? No, he wouldn't be on there, would he?
No, I mean, he's obviously gainfully employed in France. But, he seems happy at the moment.
One interesting thing I do know, over the summer, Gary O'Neill, and there was a real strong...
Ex-West Ham player.
Yeah, of course, played for West Ham.
Job swap.
Yeah, there was, potentially so, Lopetegui back.
What about that? Imagine they just go to opposite.
Monday.
Not say anything, just go to the other dugout. Don't tell them. It'll be such a laugh.
Just keep going.
We'll sit in we've signed all the contracts before, just for a bit of a laugh, just a bit of a Christmas laugh.
See how we get on.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Will.
Pleasure. Thanks, Will.
We'll catch up with Will next week. We'll look at some more of the transfer
He's hosting Match of the Day next week.
Yeah, that's it. He's on the show. I've just looked at the Match of the Day.
Remember you.
Host betting.
I remember you.
Will Pugh, he's there. He's on the list.
He's there. It's unbelievable. He goes Pugh, Barley, McGrew.
Dino in the tactics truck. Yeah.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.